All right, guys, we're live. Let me just get into the YouTube stream so I can take the pop-out chat so it'll be easier to see you guys. Give me a second. All right, there's the YouTube. I'll say hello in a minute when I can see the chat. Come on, okay, let's see, YouTube, pop-out chat. Okay, there's the YouTube. I'll say hello in a minute when I can see the chat. Okay, let's see if everything's here. All right, give me a second, guys. Let me just go back in the chat and see who's here. Let's go back. Okay. Oh. Let's see who we got. We got William. We got Small Engine Mechanic. Uh-oh, that's not, that isn't Small Engine Mechanic Mike, is it? Do It Right. Welcome, Small Engine. How you doing, Phil? We got William. We got Do It Right. Welcome. Who else we got here? Let's see. Oh, Henry, good afternoon or good evening, Henry. How are you? William again. William, I don't have contact information for Jeremy. I would have invited him if I had some information on him. The only way I could really get in touch with him is if I, left a message on one of his streams. Brandon's here. Hi, Brandon. How you doing? All right. I sent the link. Oh, Will's here. Hey, Will. How you doing, buddy? I think I have the similar thing to what you had, Will, with the push rods on a V-twin. I got to work on that this weekend with a Kawasaki. I'm just pissed because Kawasaki doesn't sell anything as complete. I can't buy a full Kawasaki head. I have to buy all parts. It's crazy. I see 805 Road King just posted a video. Guys, check him out because we all love 805 Road King and Mike and Dirt Bike and all those guys. It is Mike. Hey, Mike, welcome. Love your videos. You know what it is? Mike, I bet you what got you is the word generator because James Condon, everybody knows James Condon now with generators. Now, I'm pleased that he sort of befriended our little small engine nation here, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to put the link out. Hopefully James will be here, and he's said about 9 o'clock because he works late. So he should be here in a couple of minutes. But Mike, welcome. I appreciate you coming. We love you, Road King, Dirt Bike, Little Dirt Bike, all those guys. We love your videos. All that stuff's really good. Hey, there's Mick. Are you working, Mick? It's, 1 o'clock a.m. your time, Mick. So I'm assuming you're either at work or you don't have to work tonight. Let's see. All right, let me put out the link here, guys. And whoever wants to join us, feel free. James should be joining us shortly. Let's see. Put the link in here. Whoever like to come up, you're more than welcome. General rules, like everybody else, no more than 2 emojis, just watch the language, things like that. That's all. Like I said, we're pretty good. We're all good people here. It's, we're all into small engines and generators and stuff like that. And like I said, since I've gotten to know James over the past, say, month or so, looking at his videos, even just talking to him, I've learned a lot about generators. And Mike, if you come up, there's questions I have for you too, because I mean, your videos just blow my mind. I know that's what you do for a living. Just curious about how you got started and stuff like that, because you and James, you can go through using the meters and, this should be 2 ohms, this should be 5 ohms. And it just blows my mind because, like I said, I'm not that familiar with all the techno part of it as far as what all the ohms should be and things like that. So I'm doing more generators now, but, it wasn't something I was comfortable with maybe, say, a year ago. But since seeing, Mike, your videos, James's videos, things like that, I feel a lot more comfortable working on the generator. So it's actually fun. I'm actually having a good time with it. So, let's see. Who else we got? We got Henry's back in. Will, Mick. We got a lot of good people here. But like I said, I'm really happy to have Small Engine Mike here because he's one of the pioneers too. And Hopefully I'll be able to get down your way, maybe meet you guys at a show, Mike, because I'm only in Connecticut up in the Bridgeport area. So I'm probably only an hour and a half from, maybe even less from you guys. So I'm not too far away. So, but one question I had, I want to wait till James shows up. Hopefully he'll be here in a minute or two, but it was actually a question about the anti-fire solenoid, the anti-dieseling solenoid, whatever you want to call it, on the generator. The way if you looked at his last video, there's James. All right. All righty, here we are. Welcome. How are you, James?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good, thank you. We are fortunate tonight. We have Small Engine Mike with us from 805 Road King's channel and his own channel, Small Engine, Mike Small Engine. So very fortunate to have him here. So I welcome him, and also I welcome you. And we have Mix, and we have Brandon, and Henry, and Will, and a lot of good guys here. So excellent. The reason I wanted this chat, I was watching your video, the one you just put out, and talking about the anti-fire solenoid or anti-backfire, whatever you want to call it, the solenoid there.
Yeah.
When you mentioned it in your video, the way that I understood it from all the years of me working on these things, for example, if you're on a garden tractor or a yard tractor, whatever, that solenoid is always spring-loaded to shut the fuel off, so that when you turn your key on, it lets fuel flow. And when you shut the key off, it stops the flow. Now, you had mentioned it the opposite way in your video, almost like it was on a timer or something where it would shut it off, then click back off, almost as if it had to be powered in the off position. I said, wouldn't that kill the battery? So can you explain?
I can. And actually, I got a few questions on that too, for some of the comments today. And someone specifically was asking for the wiring diagram. So I pulled it up, and I'm scratching my head too on how they wired it. But the way it works is on the generators, especially, they're pull start. So if you have a dead battery, how are you going to start it with the pull start? So the way it works is when you switch it to the off position, it actually takes power from the charging coil and sends it to the solenoid to kill the fuel.
Okay, so temporarily then. Okay, so it's a momentary 12 volt to do it. Because you had said in your video, and it didn't make sense. I'm saying to myself, well, wouldn't it just draw off the battery the whole time? But to your point, and I saw it in that video or one of your others, there's actually a wire coming off one of the coils in the back when you took the cover off. And you said, oh, yeah, that's for the solenoid. So it's not off the battery. It's actually off a coil.
Yes. I mean, that coil is used for the solenoid and the battery charging. And I think it's rectified to DC. So for the battery and then for the solenoid.
Yeah. But what you said makes total sense now, because you're getting a temporarily pulse of power to keep it on, to keep it from banging, but then it shuts off. So you're not draining anything.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just, and by then the engine's going so slow, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing though, is that for that generator, it really serves no purpose, because when it was unplugged, I got no backfiring and the engine didn't flood because I could restart it.
Okay.
So I probably should have told the subscriber who owns that generator that he should just unplug it. I mean, it's not serving any purpose, and in the future, it will probably cause a problem at some point.
All right. Just so people know, my stream today is brought to you by Genuine Connecticut Cider and Cider Donuts, because that's what powers me in this time of year.
Nice.
But Will had a question about. Let me go through the comments. Hold on. About exactly how it says, James, what is your standard procedure for generator testing? He said, what I like to do, it's enough wattage. I generally run my house off it for an hour or so. But James, I know you could explain your process, but you've taught me about getting the voltage right first, then the hertz, and then you have a procedure for before load and after load. I don't know if you want, can you go through that for a minute?
Yeah. I guess first off, when trying to figure out what to set it to, I mean, most manuals will tell you or give you guidance. Like, the engine is rated at 3,600 RPM, but then when you read the manual, it says, well, set the engine at 61.5 hertz or 62.5 hertz unloaded, which is 3,700 RPM. So that's the first thing. And then looking at I forget who publishes it, but it's like an official document where for utility companies in the United States, like what they're allowed to deliver in your house. And they're allowed to deliver anywhere between 113 and 127 volts at
Okay.
58 hertz and about 62 hertz. So that's perfectly allowed by utility companies. So I kind of keep that in mind when I set these generators that, okay, yeah, the engine's rated at 3,600 RPM, but for generators, they do want you to over rev it a bit so that you can stay within that 58 to
When it
62
pulls
hertz
down.
range. Yeah, exactly. It is going to pull down.
Yep.
And, I'm testing a few things. When I test it, I'm testing, all right, what's the speed at no load? And then when I apply a load, how is the engine doing? Can it maintain it? Does the engine have a problem? Is it compression related? Is it fuel related? Is the engine healthy? And you can usually tell that at a half load. And a full load would be better, but I guess I have two problems with that. One is I got to carry out like 4 or 5 space heaters, and most of the generators only have 1 or 2 20 amp outlets. So you're kind of limited in that respect unless you get a breakout cord for the 240, and then you can push it even harder. But even then, I like having it warmed up quite a bit before you just throw on the max load. I don't want to break it trying to just prove that it can do it.
Let me play devil's advocate here and ask you a question. I'm Joe homeowner. I just bought a 5,000, which is probably the most common, a 5,000 watt gen set, and I bring it home and I have an electrician hook up the transfer switch, do it right.
Yep.
Now, do most people, or would you say that people will go in their house, because I know electricians, some will and some won't help you. All right, you turn the thing on, and what do? You say, okay, I need the fridge, click. I need the heat, quick. I need this, quick. And you just keep clicking on until it fails, or what?
No, I guess there's two things to consider here. A lot of people don't realize this, is that if you have a 5,000 watt, 240 volt generator, or you have a 4,000 watt, 120 volt generator, you can actually pull more out of that 4,000 watt generator than you can usually out of a 5,000. And that's because you have 2 hot wires going into your fuse box, and every other fuse is a separate coil, essentially, if you compare it to a generator. So that 5,000 watt generator, you actually have 2 2,500 watt coils.
Okay.
So if you just start loading it up and you're only at 4,000 watts, you might think you're fine. But if you loaded it up all on one coil, you're going to destroy that coil. So you actually have to balance the load.
James, is that, where it says peak on the generator? What's that, for like 5 seconds or something? Or what does that peak actually mean?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of what the engine can do on a sustained level and a bit on the generator head. Because I've gotten generators that are rated at 5,000 watts. And then you look up the part number for the generator head, and they put the same generator head sometimes on 7,000 watt models. So sometimes it's the engine, sometimes it's the generator head, sometimes it's both. But you really have to, if you don't know a lot about like what uses what power, like in my house, and I know what uses what power, but I actually pre-tested all the heavy loads and figured out what the amp draw is. And I labeled it on the fuse box and color-coded it. Like, don't flip this switch because you're going to kill your generator. But it should be fused at your transfer switch. Okay. And I have an interlock on my fuse box, which basically is a legal way to backfeed your fuse box. But I had to move wires around to keep the load balanced on each coil so that I can actually run the generator max without overloading half of the generator. So you have to keep that in mind. If an electrician comes in and puts in a transfer switch and he puts all the heavy things on the even circuits, then you're going to seriously unbalance your generator. And a lot of the transfer switches have meters. So you can see, like the one I have has 2 meters. So you can see on each
leg.
coil
Yep.
how you're doing. And
Okay.
if one
because your
coil is
breaker
approaching,
box is right. Is it left, right, left, right, left, right? When it actually the way your breakers are done.
yeah, it's evens are one coil, odds are the other.
Okay.
That's why the double circuit, they're right
Yep.
together, stacked up, because you're getting 2 separate phases, 180 degrees out from each other.
I see Mike said on there the peak number is actually a BS number.
I would agree with that. I mean, to some extent, like roughly it's 550 watts per horsepower. So if you see something that says it's
546 actually from engineering school, I remember that.
Right. I do 550. It's an easier number, but yeah.
I just remember when I was an engineer. Yep.
And that's how they rate it. And usually they do about 750 watts per horsepower for the surge.
746.
But I look at a Briggs & Stratton storm responder, it says 8,250 watts with a 10-horse engine. And I'm like, that doesn't add up.
I get you.
Yep. I think it's closer to, I don't have a calculator, but it's closer to like 7,000, maybe 7,500 at best.
Yep. Yeah, cool. Oh, boy. I still haven't gotten that generator yet from that customer, the one I told you, that McCulloch. I'm still waiting to get it and test out the condenser. So, there you go. Hey,
I just replaced one.
How much are they? About $35?
You know, this particular one, I could only find one of them, and it was being sold in Turkey for like $60. Really?
What's the microfarad rating? What's the
35. So actually, I went to HVAC shop, 2 of them, and they had the right rating, but they wouldn't fit. They were just too big. So if I went to an electric motor shop that was 120 years old, and it looked exactly like it did 120 years ago. It was great, but they had everything. So they just pulled 2 off the shelf and they said, which one do you want? So.
Yep. Oh, what's Mike say here? The thing is, the machine will do it, but the output voltage and frequency will fall out of spec for the duration of the heavy load. Okay. Yep, I get it.
Yeah, I completely agree with that too. It will. And the engine too. I mean, think about your car. I mean, just because your car can do it doesn't mean you should. Like I was just towing a trailer with my wife's van that was way over her limit. And you can get away with it for short runs, but you don't want to do it for a long time. Something's going to give.
See, I think of you as Mr. Generator. I think of Mike as Dr. Generator, because basically that's what he does for a living. So he knows more than any of us, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I tell you, the generators he has, though, are the size of my living room, some of them.
Yeah, so. I would love to do that stuff, but I have no space for something like that. You need a warehouse.
Well, put it this way, you and I are common, Jim. We have, what do we call it, the wife and kids? So.
Yeah, I've got, once all the toys leave, I can at least fit like another 10 generators.
What have you picked up lately, though? Have you picked up, how many? You said you had, 4 or 5 laying around, or what?
I got more than that. Unfortunately, nothing is selling, and it's hard to even find them right now, too.
Wait till the storm.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm keep my fingers crossed for tomorrow, but I kind of doubt it. But I picked up today one with a blown connecting rod, and the person, when I asked him, did it run out of oil? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I was spraying ether into it, and
he washed it down.
Starting, he blew the rod out, and I'm hoping that didn't run out of oil. It was just too much ether.
Ether, you wash down the cylinder. People don't use ether anymore because you wash down the cylinder, the ring seize up, boom, there you go.
Yeah, and that I'm hoping that's what happened, because then maybe I can rebuild it. It didn't punch a hole in the block, and the cylinder looks decent. Like it doesn't look like it ran out of oil. So we'll see.
Absolutely. Yeah, Brandon, you got that 1650. I actually have a dual stick in my backyard, and I actually have a full pedestal with a dual stick and valve assembly. If you ever want to convert it over, I'll make you a good deal. But anyway, Let's see. I'm trying to think what else. I meant to ask you, slip ring. When you were checking the slip ring, you put one end of the meter on the actual slip ring itself, and is the other on the end of the rotor or the chassis? When you're checking the slip ring?
There's two slip rings, so it's on each slip ring.
But I'm saying one to the slip ring. Where's the other end of the meter go? You know what I'm saying? You have one on the one slip ring, and does the other go to the armature at the end of the shaft, or you put both at one on each of the slip rings?
It's one on each slip ring, yeah. To test the rotor.
Yep. Yeah. So you're just the positive, negative, one on each slip ring, and that's it? That's all you do?
That's all you do.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were checking each one as a separate like leg or anything like that.
No, the rotor is one coil.
Okay, so you're just checking for a short or something, right? A dead short or an open circuit or something?
Yeah, what happens usually with rotors is a wire will break off the rotor right where it connects to the slip rings. So that is the only problem I've seen with rotors. And actually, I haven't seen it in a while. It's mostly been stators recently. So I have a collection of rotors now just waiting for blown stators. I mean, a generator with a blown rotor.
I don't know about you, but I see a lot of those power mates around the Coleman, like the Coleman power mates, green and red ones. I see a ton of those lately.
The power mates have a problem, and I haven't published the video yet, but the issue with the power mates I pick up is they all have blown stators, and the reason is there's no heat shield between the exhaust and the stator, and the exhaust is about one inch away from the
stator. Some of those mufflers are pretty big too, and it's like a big heat sink right there, right? Wow.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I actually took that engine. It was a Subaru with a big muffler that it was an inch wider than what was on the generator originally, and it's at an inch closer to the stator. So the original setup had 3 inches of clearance and a heat shield. Oh, wow. The new setup has 1 inch of clearance and a heat shield, which it's a pretty bad design, really. If they'd given it any thought, they would have put that exhaust further away.
I wonder if the heat shield matting would work, that adhesive matting using cars and trucks, the heat shield material, if that would work.
It's probably a good idea. Some of them, that's my biggest beef, actually. They don't think out how to vent the stator. Even the Yamaha on the Rigid that I did, the exhaust system has a bracket that bolts right to the engine where the stator vent is, and it's a solid bracket that completely, I don't want to say blocks the stator vent, but it doesn't allow it to vent straight out. It just kind of redirects it up and down and just hinders the flow, significantly.
Yeah, Mike's also saying check leakage to grounds too. I'm assuming on the slip rings. But one thing I've been doing, James, I've been watching your videos, and as I'm watching, I sort of have a notebook, and I'm sort of trying to take notes because I noticed that when you go through your video, you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to check this out. Yeah, it should be between 0.2 and 0.5. Okay, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, how does he know that? So I'm starting to take notes on some of that stuff.
Yeah, a lot of it, I mean, I work on generators that are all around the same wattage, like between 4,000 and probably 12,000 watts. And they're very similar. And sometimes I can find service manuals, sometimes I can't. But the big thing is, kind of like what Mike said, is that you want to make sure it's not open circuit, then it's obvious you got a problem. Yep. Or if the ohms are really high, and I'm doing low voltage testing, which isn't great because it could still test good, but usually you can tell. I mean, if it's not making power, if there's visual signs of problems, if you're getting funny readings, and not only checking the coils to ground, but also you can check them to each other to make sure there's not a short, that they're cross-connected in some way. So there's a lot of things that can cause that to go bad.
Yeah, cool. What else do we want to know about generator? I wish someone else would come up on the panel. I had the whole panel. Usually everyone's clamoring to come up, but that's all right. I'm putting the link out there. We'll see what happens. But anyway, What else about generators? The ones that you see at Dollar General and those stores, the $300-400, 8,000 watt ones. I mean, some people say they're dangerous. I mean, what's your opinion of the cheap ones that you see?
I don't have too many complaints other than good luck getting parts.
Like the Champion and those brands, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they're all clones, and they're so cheap that I wouldn't say they're dangerous, but even on the expensive ones, there are design flaws. And I pick up stuff that's old. I like the plastic tanks, but they all have the rubber bushings that fail after about 10 years. So then it's dumping fuel all over your generator that hopefully isn't hot. But there's little design things that I see in everything. And even you look at like Generac, their stuff, they sell at a premium. But if you get like a cheaper Duramax or a Ryobi, you're going to see probably the same engine, at least on the Generacs that are like 7,500 watts and less. There's not much of a difference in what you're getting, but you are getting support. You can buy all those parts. You can service it. Good luck with one of the real cheap ones. Like a Predator. I don't even know if you can get parts for a Predator generator.
Well, there's so many people now that make aftermarket parts for the Predator, the go-karter guys and stuff. You really, I mean, that's where that's going, but they basically make anything for it. Thomas, touch your nose, and then I'll put you up. There we go. Hold on.
Hey, Cupcake.
Thomas, how you doing, buddy?
Hello.
Big. Maybe that's too big. There we go. That's better. Because I was saying a customer dropped off one of those. It was a blue Champion. I know a lot of them are yellow, and the only thing that was really wrong with it, I had to just reflash it because it had lost the magnetism. And once I did that, it worked fine. But it just seems like they rust easier, and it just people abuse them, because they're cheap. I mean, and you tell the guy the repair's going to be $200. He goes, shoot, for an extra $200, I'll buy another one.
Well, that's just it. And you bring up a good point. Like the Generacs, they have metal tanks. I've yet to get one with a bit of rust. I mean, they are fantastic. Whereas you look like the Champion, the clone generators that are,
the gas.
If the gas goes a little bit bad, forget it. They're done. And I've tried derusting them, and then they immediately rust up. Within hours. I mean, it's unbelievable how bad they are in that respect. But you can always convert it to propane, and actually they all have Honda clone tanks. You go on eBay, $40, $50, new tank. It's Honda red on a yellow generator, but it works.
What's your opinion of the propane adapter kits? Because the ones that I've seen, 99% of them are all for Honda engines. I don't really see too many that are made for anything other than a Honda.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I think the only issue is you need an adequate supply so that the pressure doesn't drop off. Like if you go out and get like a small tank that you'd run like your grill on, or that tank's gonna cool down, the pressure's gonna drop, and you might have problems. And that's the biggest concern. But you're not gonna have a rusted tank. You're not gonna have a bad carburetor. It's gonna run.
Right. Cajun, touch your nose, buddy, so I know it's you.
Thanks, so I can read. How you doing, Kent?
Good afternoon or good evening to you. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, good. James, how you doing? Mr. Thomas?
Good. How are you?
William,
we got some heavy hitters tonight. We got Mike from Road Kings channel. We got Mick. We got a lot of good guys. Mr. Olson, a lot of good guys. Brandon, Will. Anyway, so I figure if anyone wants to ask any generator questions, we got the people here that can answer. I know that.
Where's Mike? I don't see him.
Small engine mechanic. That's Mike from 805 Road Kings channel.
Oh yeah.
Small engine.
Yeah.
Great chat.
Oh, I see him now. I see the comment.
Hey, Mike and James. There you go. But with the propane thing, James, I've seen all the kits, and to your point, it drops down to where you're actually talking inches of water is how you measure the pressure. It's that low. It's like 1.5 psi or something.
Yeah.
And like you said, you get low, it starts to frost up and things like that. You lose it. And everyone that I know that runs on gas, they actually run it on natural gas in the street. So they don't lose supply. I don't know too many that run it with like the gas grill tank because it's not going to last.
Yeah, and it's something to keep in mind too. I mean, it'll solve a lot of all the fuel problems, but it's also you're going to lose some power on some horsepower. So, if you have a 5,000 watt generator, you convert it to propane, you're going to lose something like 15, 20%. I guess it depends on what you're running, whether it's propane or natural gas, but it doesn't have as much energy as gas.
Yep. Oh yeah, what is it? The horsepower per BTU, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I don't know exactly the decrease that you'll see, but it's measurable for sure. Like a lot of generators that are listed as dual fuel will also list dual wattages right on the front because of that.
Cool. I've seen, have you seen or have you worked on any of the little two-stroke generators? I see them at Harbor Freight and other places. The ones that I've worked on, they run great. It's just that what are you going to really use it besides maybe camping or something?
Yeah, tailgater. I mean, that's, I got to say, I picked one up for like $30. It was brand new, never used. Someone took it out of the box, put it in their garage, and a mouse moved in. And this thing, every wire was chewed, the carburetor was rusted and just trash. I mean, I spent a lot of time fixing it up. It still smelled a little bit like mouse, what.
Oh, don't you hate that smell? Ugh.
Especially once I got it running, I kind of burned it off, but it ran solid. And yeah, I mean, for the size, it's a good idea if you just want a little cheap something to get a little bit of power when you have nothing.
Yeah. My goal is to still find a used Honda inverter 2,000 watter for like $150 that just needs a carb cleaning. But
yeah, good luck. I found a Yamaha 2,000 watt for $200 that needed a carb cleaning. I still have it.
Well, I tell you, the only thing, Yamaha's like Kawasaki, the price of parts is ridiculous.
I agree. That Yamaha I did a video on recently, the EF6000. The carburetor, it was I cleaned it, put it back in, it didn't work, and I'm like, geez. Well, let's see how much they cost. $300 for a carburetor, and there were no aftermarket options at all. So,
those are usually like Micunis. They're like motorcycle carburetors,
They are. It's funny because the Mikunis, they run lean. Like I loved them at first. I'm like, it's a nice name brand, but they run lean. And the ones they put on the Subarus, you can't even remove the emulsion tube, which is a problem. I'm pretty sure the tube is plastic too. So I'm not a huge fan of that one. The Yamaha Mikunis are better for sure.
Now Subaru sold out. I don't know if anyone, Brandon or someone may know, but Subaru sold out their engine division to somebody else now. I don't know if it's PowerMore or one of those other companies, but somebody bought the rights to the Subaru.
I don't know why anybody would have make that. Actually, Subarus are Hondas.
Subaru, yeah, they still. I don't know who bought them out. Subaru are still making engines. Like me and my buddy Johnny Bess is here, my partner in the Briggs and Stratton dealership we got.
Yep.
He's here, and
because I thought they sold the Robin division.
Huh?
I thought they sold the Robin division that made those small engines. The Subaru Robin, the EX engines.
I'm not sure. I'll have to do some research on it. I just know that Subaru engines are still out there.
Yeah.
They're
good
out
engines.
There, but they're good engines. They're not a cheap quality like a Predator. They good engines.
But again, money for the parts.
The thing is, the Subaru engine actually is one of my favorites. They're very, very good engines. I would say comparable to Honda. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're well built and they don't.
Yeah.
They're quiet. They have an overhead cam with a chain. You know, like they've
I
given it
just
some
didn't like
thought.
paying $38 for a needle and seat. That's all. You know.
Well, guess what? You don't have to do that. I found the Mikuni needle on Amazon listed, I think, for an ATV, $10 instead of 35, and it fits.
Is that in one of your videos? I think that's in one of your videos, isn't it?
That one, no, because actually that was the rigid Yamaha that was suffering from vapor lock.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, I'll just get a new needle. I looked and I'm like, $35.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's the needle. Like, why would I spend $35 when I'm pretty sure it's not the needle? But then I'm like, oh, $10, I'll give it a try. And it made no difference, of course.
Yeah. I've done that with seats. Like, for example, I had an old Briggs Flowjet carburetor on an 11-horse leaf blower, and I didn't have the original red Briggs seat, so I threw a Tecumseh seat in there. It worked.
Yep.
I mean, I had no problem with it. You know, I mean, hey, it's necessity is the mother of invention. The guy wanted it back, and that's all I had, so it worked.
Yeah. Speaking of Tecumseh, I was thinking of you the other day. It's one of those plastic Tecumseh bowls where the float is kind of backwards. And usually you have needle and seat problems where it doesn't shut the flow off. This one was the opposite. The flow sometimes wouldn't turn on, even though it was
sticking up top, so it wouldn't open?
It would open sometimes. And sometimes not. So I ordered a new needle and seat. But while I was waiting for that, I decided to just clean out the bowl, blew a little air in it. I left the main jet in, the purple one. Next thing I know, an O-ring from out of nowhere just launches and flies across the room. It was the one that was between the main jet and the body, like you were talking about. And thankfully, it blew out because it was so swollen that the main jet was probably, if it had swollen anymore, it would have restricted the fuel. I mean, it was in pretty bad shape.
Sure. Hey, Cajun, Mike asked a question about Briggs Vanguard. Are they making the Vanguards, or are they made like overseas?
One minute.
Nope. Yeah, because Cajun, if I believe he said he's a dealer, him and his partner. So I can't answer that, Mike, but maybe Cajun and his partner can answer that for you. I haven't seen too many Vanguards, though. Vanguards are kind of rare. In fact, Henry from Mowers and Blowers just got a tractor with a Vanguard engine in it. The shrouds are like rounded and stuff, and I see a lot of Intex. I don't see as many Vanguards today.
Yeah, no.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's all right. No, is it offshore, Cajun?
What's that?
Is the Vanguard an offshore engine?
No, they can use them offshore, but there's not a lot of gasoline applications offshore, except for generators and stuff, and they all run on natural gas. So anything offshore is going to run either on natural gas, or it's going to be a separate type backup system that's going to run on diesel, and they're going to have a holding tank on the platforms and stuff. But the Vanguard is the commercial line for Briggs and Stratton, and yes, Briggs is still making them. They were making them in Japan, not China. They were making them in Japan, and the head honcho now that's in office, got with the CEOs or whatever for Briggs and said, "Hey, let's bring Briggs and Stratton back in the United States." So the Vanguard series is back in the United States. You know, more people hired, you know, local people here. But the Vanguards that was made in Japan, there was nothing, you know, no poor quality on those at all.
Yeah. They're nice. I mean, I've gotten a couple V-twin Vanguards and single cylinders, and there was one in particular. It was like 25 years old, and I had to get the carb off, so I took the blower housing off, and just the beauty behind the blower housing of the aluminum, the shininess, like it was amazing, because I get stuff that's like 5 years old and it's all corroded and oxidized and just inferior metals. It's just very noticeable, the difference.
I can say this for Vanguards. I'm in Southwest Louisiana, and there's a lot of crawfish farmers down here. You know, rice farmers, and in the fall, winter, and spring is our crawfish season, and they have these specially made boats that are run by hydraulics. Every one of these boats are either run by Vanguard or Kohler's. And if a Kohler goes down, then the rice farmer is going to switch to Vanguard because everybody has them and talk good about it.
Is that engine that's up with a long drive shaft going down so they can lift it up and down in the weeds?
No, that's a Go Devil. That's a Go Devil.
Okay.
Those are the old style Go Devils. But these are hydraulics. They got two wheels on the back with cleats on them. Like you remember the old style tractor tires, the steel tractor wheels on the antique tractors that they use that in water.
Yeah.
And and rice fields or whatever, or ponds, whatever. Okay. Well, there's two steel wheels on the back, but they short. You know, they're only about 2.5 foot tall, and they run. And then they turn. There's a mechanism. There's a it's not a steering. It's a steering system, no rudder or nothing. And the Vanguard's actually running the hydraulic pumps.
Okay.
And we hardly see them come in the shop or any other shop in town here. We hardly see any Vanguards come in there. And when they do, it's just a carburetor, you know, or what have you. And usually the farmers, they're all mechanics. They work on all their own stuff. You know,
I see expensive ones, like expensive Skags. I've seen Vanguards. The ones that are like $7-8 grand. That's where I see them.
What the Skag? They used to have Kohlers on them too. Which
they've had everything in Skags. Whoever's the cheapest that month, I guess. I don't know.
But you can't go wrong by listening to 100,000 crawfish farmers with Vanguard engines.
Sure. I think Brandon said it. The people over there at Daihatsu, they were making the engines. Daihatsu, because I've seen them. They used to make engines for John Deere as well. So
Daihatsu is the company. Okay, for what?
I think for the Briggs in Japan. That's one of the vendors from them over there.
Okay, actually, it was
huge. Yeah.
I know the shops from my information from through Briggs and Stratton when we get updates and stuff. Everything was tooled for Briggs and Stratton engine. It was like, I don't know, they had their own building, one single building for Vanguards, or they had one section of a huge half-mile by half-mile building, one section of it just for Vanguards. That I have no idea. Hey, Mick, how you doing, mate? But and they had American Quality Control over there too for the Vanguards.
Looks like you're working,
Mick.
You're muted, Mick. No?
No, he's at work. Everything's too loud where he's at.
Yeah. Or he's got someone watching him.
Yeah, it looks like a control room of some sort.
Yeah, well, he's got a little buggy he rides around in. I don't know if he's in his buggy.
Yeah, probably on the track.
They got all the Oh, there's a control panel. Yeah, they're running something over there.
Yeah, I figured they was in a control room or something. Yeah. I wonder if they're on the tracks.
Oh, he's got the whole room. Look at that.
Oh, you're rolling on the tracks, Mick.
Yeah, he's got help tonight.
They're rolling on the tracks.
Well, what is it? About 1:30 over there now, 1:45 almost. So late at night. That's okay. Glad to have Mick as always. So you said you got the little packages, right, Mick? All set, beauty. Thank you. All right, cool. All right, what else can we talk about here? Mick can't talk, but that's actually it's a shock not seeing Mick talk. That's interesting.
Oh no, I can talk. It's just very noisy. That's all it is.
See that? I knew I'd get him somehow. Anyway, so what kind of dealer are you? What are you?
Who, me?
Yeah. You said your buddy the dealer or you the dealer?
Briggs dealer. Me and Johnny have a Briggs dealer. Shit.
Okay. Is it just Briggs? Do you have other brands?
No. Well, we just a Briggs dealer, but we work on everything.
Okay.
Work on Kohler, like William I. He's got a question. Is the Kohler Courage any good at all?
No.
Let me tell you something.
No.
They ain't got too much courage, buddy.
No.
Believe me.
You need courage if you want to buy one. That's for sure. And you need a warranty if you want to buy one. But,
those bucket engines, the Courages, no.
Do they still make the Courage? I thought they stopped.
They do. They have those, what do they call them? The easy exit bolts that like to hit the flywheel and stuff like that.
Yeah. The features actually on the top of the engine instead of the bottom, and you open it up, looks like a 5-gallon bucket.
Yeah, rip the tub in half,
and
then
okay, they're not bad engines, as I stated. But what it is, if you go twice a year and you make sure all those sump boats all the way around are torqued, you got a good engine. A decent engine. Okay, it's high quality. It's just those sump boats back out and the block cracks. All that I've seen it too many times.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad because like little things like that will ruin the reputation. Like,
absolutely. Hey, I grew
so
up
many...
on Kohler K series, and I mean, they're my favorite motor. I've got about 20 of them down in my basement. Anyone who needs parts or anything for the Kohler, Brandon, I'll get with you because I do have a camshaft. But Kohler Command, I mean, you can't kill the stupid things. But then when this crap came out with the plastic and everything else, and they use oil. Everyone I've had has been a quart down on oil. I've never had a Courage come in where it's not at least a quart down on oil. You
have a Courage or a Command?
No, Command I love. I love Commands. I've never had a problem with Commands.
Yeah, I love the Command.
I run a John Deere FTX, and I love it.
Good.
What are you saying, James? I'm sorry, I cut you off about 10 times.
No. I was just saying the same thing about design flaws can ruin an engine because I've picked up so many Briggs generators with blown engines due to lack of oil. Mm-hmm. And it just goes back to the fact that, in 2007, they started emitting the oil sensor and, people, they don't check the oil. They'll get a storm, they'll run the thing for a week and then they'll be like, where'd the oil go? Why did it break? It's not the engine's fault.
Talk about oil sensors. Quick story. I had one guy come in here where he said the engine would run for 5 seconds and shut off. And of course, it was low on oil and the sensor was doing its job. Then another guy come in and said the engine wouldn't start. The sensor had rotated about 30 degrees and it was like locked. It wouldn't move up or down. So it was in the down kill position. So it just never gave me anything. So the first thing I tell people, whether it be Hondas or Briggs or whatever, disconnect the kill and disconnect the oil level, check it first. But disconnect those two things first, then see if you have spark. Because 90% of the time, no one ever checks those. Yep. And you got the module that controls the low oil too, that timer module. People don't realize too, that can go bad too.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, like Matthew's generator.
Yeah, like Matt's generator, correct, Johnny. For the first major hurricane we had, Laura, we were out, 4 days, 3-4 days of electricity.
Yeah.
Matt was running a generator. He shut it down like normal, I think. He thought he ran out of gas. That's what it was. He thought he ran out of gas. Went to put gas. Me and Johnny were outside. I was looking for the circuit because neighbors had electricity. I didn't. I was looking to see if we were on the same circuit. Matt was outside and they were all huddled around a generator. I'm like, oh, they're working on his generator. Must be adding gas. We went there just to visit, say hi. And he was like, Boudreaux, I'm glad you and Johnny showed up. This generator will not start. All right. Well, I see the gas can, so I assume you put gas. Are you getting spark? Well, we're fixing to check it. So no spark. I'm like, well, go ahead and check the oil while you're doing the plug. I said that generator, it's a Briggs engine, but I said that generator has an oil sensor on it. Sure enough, it needed, I don't know, about that much out of a quart, something like that. Just enough to where the sensor was kicking it off.
Sure. Absolutely. So, Mick, what are you laying tonight? You laying some track? You fixing some ups and downs, or what you doing? Last time you were here, you were fixing the ups and downs.
Yeah, ups and downs. Yeah, same.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, we're just going back to do our record and run now, so we're just nearly finished. We've got the operator's just come out there. He's been working really hard.
I got an old generator at my house. It's not.
Mick's got the job, though. If the guys don't show up, whatever. So well.
Let's go, Rich.
Who else we got in here? Let me look back at some of the comments. I haven't really looked at too many of them.
Oh, one of your fans, Ken.
I have fans?
Yeah, one of your fans came into my Boo Lucat channel.
Uh-huh.
And commented.
Oh, it's got to be Henry. Got to be Henry.
On an older video I put out about a year ago.
Yep.
And that's not the first time he's done it. He says, hey, Ken's coming on at 8 o'clock. We'd love to see you join the pound.
Cool.
Okay. So I look for you. I think it's like 5 after 8 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And because we just got back home, I moved some stuff from my mother-in-law. My Jeep's broke down now. I don't know, starter or something. So anyway, no, it's William.
William. Okay, I'm sorry. Yep.
William I.
Yeah, William was trying to get a bunch of people on, but he doesn't realize. I mean, I know a lot of the people on YouTube, but not personally. You know what I mean? So I don't have an email. I mean, Pate's and some of the local guys. Yeah, I know, and I got contact information, but not too many. You know, you get the heavy hitters. He was talking about like Jeremy and those heavy hitters. I don't have their numbers, or Terrell, or I mean, but I'm not Mixed Mowers. I don't have Terrell's personal phone number. You know,
I do.
So
I do.
You know all that was staged anyway. You know, fake phone calls and stuff like that. They did that collaboration, which hey, I like the way they did that video. I did.
Hey, we got one coming up pretty soon, I think. So that'll be good.
Yeah.
Someday. Hey, when I get famous like you, Mick, I'll be able to do that stuff too. So.
I'm not famous. I just make a lot of noise.
There you go. Yeah, but we made some good friends here. You know, you got Bruce Pender and Bob. Double Wide Six, thing like that. A lot of good guys. A lot of real good guys.
Yeah, I know Double Wide. I gave him a hint and tip and trick one time, and he actually made a video on it.
Yep. Yeah, that's
he credited me on
it. I just got a brand new laptop yesterday, so I gotta download the movie software like Mick has and start to do some real videos.
Oh yeah,
you're gonna be a pro.
YouTube movie, whatever, editing.
Movie Maker, yeah. I gotta get one of those. They're cheap. The downloads are cheap, so I can do that. And my daughter's got a GoPro, so I'm gonna try that and do some serious stuff instead of just the iPhone. You know. So see what happens. I got to get that elusive 1000. I got to get it. You know. I mean, look at Mr.
We need to do you a big shout out video.
19,000.
2 meters.
How come you're not wearing an orange jumpsuit, Mick?
I am.
Safety suit.
Oh, there you go.
He's got it.
The other guys look like they just escaped from prison, you know?
I wear supervisor's dungarees. I look like a policeman.
You're the boss tonight, Mick? Mick's the boss tonight? So, who else wants to talk about generators? Any other generator questions out there?
Go ahead, Brandon. Oh my God.
Let's see.
I think Brandon needs timing out is what he needs.
Brandon said Mick got to give a lot of reach arounds to get to that supervisor position.
Come back on him.
Oh boy.
Occasionally, might come back on him.
I don't have no idea how to come back on that one.
I'll get him. All right, Ken, I gotta go, mate. We're just about to wrap up, so I'm gonna shoot out.
Right. Mick, be safe, buddy. Talk to you later.
Laters, Gators. Bye.
See you, Mick.
Hi, Mick.
Hey, James, we're always talking to you about generators and stuff like that. Is there anything else small engine wise or tractor wise or anything that gets you going or anything that you're interested in?
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in quite a bit, but you know, it comes down to what can I easily pick up without attaching a trailer and, investing time. Up until recently, I was at work 13, 14 hours a day, and I didn't have the trailer. So on the way home, like I just had to limit stuff to stuff that I could actually kind of pick up on the fly. So yeah, I like tractors quite a bit. I actually almost picked up like a huge mower yesterday, but someone beat me to it. And I'll do whatever.
Yeah, see, I started out in 2000. I bought a 1969 Cub Cadet 107, which had a motor that needed a set of rings. And a good friend of mine, Mike, who had passed away, or he passed away recently, but anyway, he had that he wanted to trade into the Cub Cadet dealer, and they would only give him $300 for it. And I said, well, I'll give you $300. So I took it. And it was the first engine rebuild I did on a K series. I had rebuilt small block Chevys until I used to drag race years ago. So I'm familiar with all that stuff, an engineer by trade and all that. So that didn't ever scare me. So I rebuilt that engine, and I ended up selling it to one of my first customers in a nearby town called Easton. He blew the motor in his Cub Cadet. And I said, you know what? This one I just rebuilt will fit. And I think I charged like $700, where I had like $200 in parts. And they wanted like $1,000 for a full-blown K series back then. So he paid the money. I went over his house, I installed it, and I'm like, wow. And then that's what really started me into working on small engines, you know?
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, I personally like turning junk. That's not really junk. It's just people don't want to spend the money, or they can't do it themselves. And to pay someone else to do it, it would either take too much money or too much time. So they toss it, they throw it to the curb or just dump it. I mean, people sell stuff, they throw stuff away that it's not that broken.
Oh yeah. Well, dealers here, you're getting $105 an hour. And, if I'm charging $30, $40 an hour, depending on what I'm working on, and I can give them service on the weekend, and I can pick up and deliver for say $20, $30 instead of 65 or whatever, makes sense.
Yep.
I do a lot of mobile calls for small, portable gas generators. I do a lot of mobile calls on those.
I used to do a lot of mobile calls, Cajun, but one thing that got me was some of them that were more than like 5 or 10 miles. I'm loading up half my tools into like buckets and stuff, and then I got to come home, schlep them home, and put them back. Like, nah. And then you get there, and I said this the other day in a stream. What happens when you don't have that one tool that you didn't take? And I'll never forget, I was at I'm doing a mower deck at a guy's house, changing the blades over, and I didn't have a 14 millimeter deep socket or 19, whatever it was for the John Deere decks. And my daughter at the time was working at Home Depot, literally 2-3 miles away. I go, hey, you leaving work now? She goes, yeah. I go, pick me up a 19 millimeter socket. So she drove it by, gave it to me, and I did. But you can't do that when you're 40 miles from home in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean?
All our stuff's close, within mostly within a mile or two, and between Johnny's toolbox and my toolbox, we got it covered. But these 70-year-old men, and they by themselves, they're not going to have their 60, 65-year-old wife help them lug that generator in their truck. And we don't want any. We ain't got no room in the big shop anyway, and I don't have room over here. I want to build me a shop anyway, or find something around here very, very dirt cheap, and like riding mowers, some of the guys don't have a trailer to haul it on, so we go there, and we don't charge anything, extra for that.
Yeah.
But you were talking about asking about the generators earlier. You were talking about those little 2-strokes, like from Harbor Freight. Those, them, quite a few people around town that have them. What they do, they hit these markets, like at Tractor Supply. I think they call Rural King. Up north, this Tractor Supplies, and they let the woodworking guys, small arts and crafts, and people that sell these high quality in ducks, hybrid ducks, real collectible. I mean real ducks that fly. And these guys, they'll have these little generators, and all they're doing is turning one of them big fans one of them big 4-foot shop fans. That's neat. Mortimer.
Like a Von de Graaff generator.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I was wondering what that was. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So they'll run them fans on those little 2-stroke generators, and they don't have problems with them. The old man said there's a trick. You break it in like the instruction book says to do. You know, you run it for 30 minutes or so the first time you crank it up, no load, or 20 minutes, whatever, and then you gradually break it in, and after 2 hours, you know, go about your business, do what you want, turn fans or, you know, some small load stuff.
Yeah.
But I have a question for Mike. What was that? Studebaker?
I got an old generator, old Nan generator.
It's huge.
Yeah. Shroud on the fan where the serial number and all that in there says Studebaker Corporation.
Oh yeah. Remember they made Gravely engines. Remember they made the engines for the original Gravely's.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know if I can find any parts for it.
I never did look up the information on it. I forgot. It's a huge generator. That thing's what, 3 foot long, 3.5 foot long, about 2 foot wide.
Well, post a part if you have any model numbers or anything. Throw it in the comments. I'm sure Mike will be looking. I'll look. You know.
Oh yeah, that's at the big shop, and we over here at my house. So
if it's huge, I know Mike will be interested because Mike's into all that big stuff.
What I'll do, I'll try to do some research on it on Google, and if I come to a dead end, I'll just go. I got Mike subscribed, you know, on both of my channels. So what I'll do, I'll just leave my comment in one of his videos and say, "Hey, it's Boo," or you know. I mean, he knows me. He knows me from when me and Johnny, we'd watch him and Road King all the time.
Sure, me too.
On my Boo Lucat channel.
Yeah, I started watching Road King when he made that 4-cylinder Briggs. That's when I started watching.
Yeah.
Love that thing.
I remember those days. Yeah, I'll tell
they're
you.
not far away from me, James. You and I are pretty close to them. They're only, I think they're Jersey around the Philly area that way, so they're not that far away.
Yeah, it's not too far.
Yeah.
Tell you what, you can't beat Mike's work, you know. Man.
Oh, definitely, absolutely.
And Road King, okay.
Oh, yeah, all of them. Him, dirt bike, all of them. Hey, William's asking about a Troy-built generator. He said just quit and won't start. But William, when you say just quit and won't start, meaning the engine won't even kick or anything, what do you mean, buddy? Because I know a lot of times when people run the gas out, sometimes it sucks dirt in there, things like that. So, you know, first thing I do is I drop the float bowl, make sure there's no garbage or anything, and I throw some fresh gas in. I let that run out a little bit, make sure you're getting good flow, and then I try it.
He's probably got a Briggs on there, either 15 horse, depends on the water. It's probably a 15 horse or 10 or 11 horse on that one. More likely a Briggs engine on it.
Yeah, the Troy, it's all MTD now. So
maybe check the oil too.
Yeah, and check the oil too.
Yep. How new is it, William? Because I know MTD bought Troy-built, what, 7-8 years ago, 10 years ago, something like that? So, you know, everything now that says Troy-built really is MTD. You know, the old Troy-built, when it was Garden Way, yeah, that was built really well. Now that it's MTD, not you know, MTD, what do they say? Made to destruct or something? I don't know.
Made to die.
Yeah. So the old MTD years ago used to be phenomenal, used to be great. But then, you know, they bought Cub Cadet, they bought White, they bought, you know, all these places, you know. But,
what horsepower engine you got on it, William? And what brand?
Turns but won't start. Oh, just for the heck of it, William, the simplest thing in the world, and some guys will yell at me about this, make sure it doesn't have a torch spark plug. If it does, take it out. Throw in something normal. You know? I'm serious. All the little Toro 2-strokes lately, every single one has come to me not running because it had a torch plug. Every one. So, yep, it's crazy. I got to go refill my apple cider. I'll be right back.
All right. Well, William, just about any piece of equipment is good. Depends on what's driving the generator itself. If you maintain everything, keep that generator in a not climate control shed, but keep it from the very extremes. Keep it away from the extremes of weather.
Yeah, I completely
Oh, you
agree.
forgot who it is? Oh, it's for a friend of yours or something. Okay.
Craig's on there. Hi, Craig. Good evening. Yeah, definitely. Like you were saying, James, the other day,
Generator was $9,000.
How many people keep them outside, and then you pull off the end cap, and you're like, "Ooh, what's this?" You know?
Yeah, I actually got one with the small space between the rotor and the stator was full of mud, like it had been underwater or in a mud puddle, and that stator was toast. I mean, there's a very small clearance there. You don't want dust, dirt, mud. You're not gonna.
People leave them next to the shed, right next to the shed, and when the rain there's no gutters, right? So it falls right on it, and then the mud splashes on it. Oh yeah.
That's a big problem too. A lot of the tanks have like an inset around the fuel cap. So if you leave it out there, it's gonna puddle, and eventually it is gonna go into the tank. I mean, I've picked up some. The guy paid $200 for a new fuel tank, and then a year later loses power, can't start it again. So I bought it dirt cheap, brought it home, brand new tank full of about a half inch of water in the bottom.
One thing I found too, you were talking the other day about the plastic tanks, and you're like, where'd this rust come from? And I've seen either the metal caps that they use rust, or the fuel valve itself rusts, and you get like particles in there. Yeah,
there was junk in the fuel outlet on the tank, but there was a fuel filter. I mean, it was just one of the screen kind, but that's the only thing. And also the inlet into the carburetor was a little crusty, so I'm sure it came from one of those.
Craig's asking, run dry or stay bill? You know what? I'll be honest with you. Lately, and I always tell people, the stable, whatever. I'm not a fan anymore, because every time I see an engine in the spring, it's like Hawaiian Punch, and it's like, what is this? Yeah, I'm not a fan. If it's a car, like a big car, maybe, but a small engine now, just drain it.
Something that you don't use, like a generator. If you don't use it much, and most people don't, I've never got one that has had a problem because you ran it dry. I mean, some people are concerned you got to keep it wet, the seals, blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's not.
But it's always bad fuel. It's always bad fuel.
1 month, that ethanol crap, 1 month, and it turns to garbage.
Yep, vitamin P orange.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. Oh yeah.
All our customers down here, we tell them, look, anything you run small engine, just go buy ethanol-free gas. Go to Guillory's Oil right there. Go to Turner's, Brownies.
Cajun, we can't get it. The only ethanol-free I have is racing fuel, and you put that in there. Good luck starting at 100 octane. That ain't gonna start.
Yeah. There's actually a website too that'll tell you that has ethanol-free, but around us, you have to drive 30 miles at least to get
puregas.com.
The stuff I can buy, like I said, I could probably buy 93 or 94 octane unleaded. Non-ethanol, but literally 75 miles away.
Yeah, and actually,
half the stations here in town ethanol free.
Wow. I wish.
I wish we had that.
I'd buy
really,
a dozen.
Really need that.
Just fill them up,
Yeah.
And what's 20 cents a gallon more for ethanol free? That's nothing. 20 cents more a gallon. Well, I'm gonna go get it.
But do you have it in all octane ratings too, Cajun, or what?
All octanes, low, medium, hot. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, the true fuel, like Chris is saying, all my customers who don't use their equipment that often, especially two-stroke stuff, I try and push the true fuel because, I'm never going to see them again because the equipment's not going to fail, but at least it runs good and it'll start on them, So.
But they bring you other stuff, though.
Yeah, most of the time, I got a quick story. Favorite customer of mine, he goes to the dump. He likes getting dump stuff. And one time, I sort of embarrassed him. I brought something to the dump, and I actually had my name on it. About 2 hours later, he comes to my house. Yeah, this thing, I just found it in my shed and hasn't run in a couple of years, this and that. And I didn't want to embarrass him, but I finally told him it wasn't going to work, but it was mine. I just dropped it off at the dump 2 hours earlier. But that was sort of embarrassing. I didn't want to embarrass the guy.
Yeah. He didn't see your name on it or your trademark or whatever.
Well, no, it actually had my initials and my phone number on it. And I guess he didn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, because around here, a few times there were thefts and things like that. So we used to put our name on everything, or we used to put on our tools, stolen from Kenny Wyman, like that.
Yeah.
So just in case you ever saw him. So.
But you're going to get word of mouth. People will talk when you turn them on to True Fuel, or the Walmart brand or Tractor Supply brand, but it's pre-mixed. For weed eaters, chainsaws, we tell all our customers, use that. Johnny uses that.
Yep.
I mean, he buys it, he'll buy a case of it.
Yep. Yeah, I want to do a shout out to a good buddy of mine, Kevin Bolin Small Engines. I don't know if you guys ever seen his channel. Real good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's funny because I want to buy him a shirt that says I hate pool-ons, because he has a video on pool-ons. It'll crack you up. And it's everything. Every other word is this sucks. This piece of crap. This that. But it's true though. I had a guy call me today. In fact, one of the guards where I work, he comes to my office today, and I fix stuff for him. And he goes, "Yeah, I got a couple chainsaws for you." And I said, "Let me guess, Poulon." No, they're Craftsman. I go, "Yeah, they're Poulon." So I said, "Let me guess, they won't start." He goes, "How'd you guess?" I go, "Because I'm going to take it. The fuel line's going to be cracked, and the fuel filter's going to be hanging, and you didn't drain the fuel out." And he looks at me. I said, "Just drop off in front of the garage." And I said, "But the first thing I'm going to do, as I do with any two-stroke now, pull the muffler. If I see scoring, it goes right back in your car. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even bother. I mean, if it's a Steel or Echo or Husky, something like that, yeah, I can fix it. But if it's Poulon, just a cylinder kit is more than the darn saw brand new. So it's not worth it."
Not quite, but you close.
Yeah. Hey, Tim, how you doing, buddy?
In fact, first thing I do, a weed eater, whatever, if somebody brings it, I'll let the trimmer head rest on the ground.
Yep.
And then I'll take the starter handle, and then I'll let the weed eater head go.
Drop it.
Yeah, no complaint. If it stays there, okay, that's a good sign. Yeah. Then I'll pull it and I'll check it. Chainsaw, same thing. I'll pull it, and if I feel good, I know the difference between bad compression and on the way out and good.
Yeah.
So if it's on the way out, it's still got a little life in it, But I'll do that before I pull them up, like you said.
Yep. Oh yeah. Well, I had one guy the other day. He dropped off a saw. It was a name brand and all that, and it had a stuck ring. I could see from inside the muffler. It wasn't really scored that much, but it had a stuck ring from a little bit of too much carbon, because he was using old mix where the gas evaporated, and he said, basically prove it to me, this and that. So I put a little two-stroke oil in the cylinder, and it popped, and it started for about 4 seconds. I said, I just increased the compression by filling in the gaps with oil. But now that that's burned off, it's not going to start. And I said to him, what do you got there?
A good pick is your buddy when you go in the exhaust, and you can just if you can. Well, but you're not going to see that little groove, but you can move that ring a little bit. The groove is opposite. Is 90 degrees away from there.
Aluminum pulling it in, Yeah.
I just try to move that ring on there.
Yeah,
or in some cases, 2 rings on a chainsaw, and and then that just about does the trick.
And I've done it where I've put the oil in the cylinder, and just by revving it a little bit, sometimes freed it up. I've done that too.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. But like I said, when it's a Poulon or an older McCulloch Eager Beaver, I'm not going to spend the time in that.
Yeah.
All those Eager Beavers. Oh, I can take them. Johnny, don't you have one over here, Eagle Beaver?
Everybody has one. Come on, they're in the garbage every time.
I have one we tore apart in the shop.
Yeah.
I have one.
It takes you 6 hours to take apart to change the fuel lines.
I tear them apart in about 15 minutes, get them back together in about 30. It takes longer to put them back together and take them apart. But there's a certain order and a way to do it on those beavers.
Yep. I just love how the fuel line, you're putting it between two different half circle cutouts, and if you don't do it right, it pinches and all that. I'm like, come on, you know? So crazy stuff. But anyway, so what else we got working on, James? Anything coming up?
Well, that's yeah. I have a lot of stuff in the queue, but I haven't picked up too much in the last few weeks that's fixable.
Mhm.
You know, I'm really hoping the one I picked up today is fixable, but until I get the engine open, you know, I'm kind of hesitant to even bother rebuilding engines because the last one I did, I haven't published this yet, but it ended up having a knock. You know, so I spent the time, rebuilt it.
What did you
new
change
rod.
though when you rebuilt it though? What did you replace on the rebuild?
It was piston, rings, home cylinder, lap the valves, new rod.
Did you mic up the crank at all for your gap and all that? Did you mic it up to see what you really had on the crank?
Not.
Okay, because I'm saying 1.5 to 2 thousandths over max will knock.
Well, that's right, and that's where I went wrong. So I had 3 extra cranks. You know, I checked them the best I could.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't have the proper tooling.
You don't have a set of mics. You got to get a set of Chinese mics, $10.
Right. I don't have that. I was like, all right, maybe I should have done something. You know, make sure it was in round. Make sure, you know, plastic gauge, something.
I was going to say plastic gauge.
Plastic gauge. Yep. Poor man's micrometer. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's very reliable.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
It tells you the actual gap, dimensions aside. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yep. Hey, we used to use that on small block Chevys all the time after a race to see if we did anything. Oh, yeah. You know, the bearings look okay, but the plastic gauge tells a story.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, a new crankshaft is $200.
Ooh.
So if I had known that ahead of time that the crank was bad, I would have saved my money. So you $150 to get it. Yep. I mean, it starts first pull from a blown up engine, but I can't use it.
Keep in mind, James, and what I do around here, only because I know everybody, if you have a machine shop in your area or somewhere where, you know, any kind of automotive machine shop, you can buy 10, 20, 30 under cranks. Okay. I mean, connecting rods. So you can have the crank turned. It usually costs about $50. So for $50, you have a like new crank that's beautiful, nice and round. Just buy the undersized rod for it. And on Kohlers, you can tell they're undersized by a hole that they drill through the beam of the rod. That's how you know it's an undersized rod. Kohler drills a hole in the center, you know. But Briggs sells, you know, undersized rods, oversized pistons, just because of wear. But crankshafts especially, you can get connecting rods 10, 20, 30. Well, 10 and 20 usually, 30 not as much, you know.
Interesting. Yeah, I saw the last time I looked at
never throw out a crank. You can always fix a crank.
Right, and it had aluminum on it, cleaned off really well, and it looked
use muriatic
really good.
To polish it.
I did, yeah. I did muriatic and then polished it to a nice shine. But
when I do that though, James, I always mic it to make sure, because like I said, I'm an engineer by trade. I mic to tenths. I mean, I make sure everything's dead nuts because I don't want the callback. If I'm rebuilding an engine for someone and charging them $500-600, I want him to be happy. I want to be happy. I'll warranty it for 6 months, and I don't want to have that dreaded phone call. Yeah, it's making a knock, you know?
Yeah, it's making a knock, yeah. No, I know, and that's kind of where I'm at. So the engine I got today, I think it blew up due to someone spraying ether in it as opposed to low oil, but, you know, I'd say it's has a higher chance of being fixed. But I need to check it better.
Well, all I'm saying, James, if you ever want to check any of that stuff, let me know. We can meet. We're only like 30 miles from each other. We can meet in the middle, have a cup of coffee. I'll bring my mics with me. We can mic everything up. You let me know.
What engine is it, James?
It's a 10-horse Briggs generator engine.
Is it overhead valve?
It is overhead valve. Yeah, it's one of these. This is the one here, my failed attempt.
Hold on. Let me zoom in on you here. Hold on a minute.
Oh, those cranks are, okay. You'll have to get an engine that came off of a generator because the crank's tapered on those.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So,
well, if you could pick up a generator where the generator itself doesn't work, or like at a scrap yard where somebody, you know, a scrapyard buys iron and aluminum cans and stuff. Sometimes they'll sell it. If the generator doesn't work itself, then they'll sell it for scrap iron. You get the engine off of it, and it's a chance you take. You buying it by the pound. You might spend $30, but if that engine is not that bad, you're gonna have a lot of good parts off of it anyway. Carb, all that.
I have a lot of Briggs parts, so I'm kind of at the point where I want to fix one of them and get some of the parts out. So I did something I probably shouldn't have done by trying to fix that engine, but it's a learning thing. Like I don't rebuild engines usually because of what you just said. It cost me $150 to rebuild that engine. It's a lot easier to find a generator that the power head has stopped working. And now the engine is basically worthless on anything except a generator. So people just dump them. They sell them for $100, $80. And it's a perfectly good engine. You can't beat that.
Yeah.
You can't rebuild an engine for that.
Chris has a comment there, and I've done that before, Chris. He asked about grinding the connecting rod faces so you bring the thrust surfaces closer together. And I've done that before, where you take a little emery cloth, you take a few thousandths off the connecting rod cap. But the problem is you're only working in the thrust direction. You're not working at 90 degrees. So as it rotates, you're going to still get some slap side to side. So, you know, that was the poor man's fix for rod knock. And you know what? It may last you. It may last you a month. It may last you a year, but it might blow up on you too. So that's the risk you take when you file the rod caps. You can do it, and I've seen people do it, and I've seen people in garden tractor pulling do it, and the engine still runs, but it's a risk you take.
Or you can bring it to a machine shop. Well, by the time you do that, it just pays
the cost of rod.
Get an old crank, you know.
Grind the crank undersize and buy an undersized rod. That's all. Easy enough to do. $50 grind the crank, $35 to $50 for an undersized rod. You're back in business. Drifty, good afternoon, brother. How you doing?
There's some places you can find a used crank that they guarantee.
Yep.
On eBay or Amazon or whatever, or like I said, just check them scrap yards where people buy aluminum cans and scrap metal. It might take you a year to find one, but hey, you know.
Oh yeah,
I'll
be ready when I do.
Out of the bin, a Craftsman and a Poulin, same thing.
Yep.
One was the Poulin with the Hunter Orange and the mossy oak, like this, the mossy oak camouflage. Johnny was with me. I think I didn't have no cash on me. He bought it. They were gonna let me have it anyway. You know, I think both had what, $4, Johnny? $5 for both chainsaws, something like that. One running. I kitted one. I got it running, no problem. The other one, I think, was the bar or something. Had a brand new bar and chain on it. Brand new bar and chain. And I just tried to bust it off. And they put up. But you get two chainsaws for $5, and it costs $10 to fix them. And if you take care of them, use True Fuel, no problem.
Yeah.
I love a Poulin. You know, I do. I don't have nothing against them. I'd rather a Husqvarna, believe me.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I picked up two. I spent $15 each and fixed them both. And, you know, I always use a steel, never used anything else. I didn't expect much, but for $15, it's not bad. It's not bad at all.
Well, that's the longer chainsaw now. You see, when your neighbor comes and say, "Hey, can I borrow your chainsaw?" Okay, here you go. You know, you give them the Poulin. You don't give them your $400 steel.
Yeah. Yep.
Usually the rule of thumb is if it's a clamshell type saw, it's the cheaper type of saw. If it's the kind that has a replaceable cylinder, that's where you get into the dollars.
Yeah.
I buy the highway kits for the chainsaws, like the
Highway, Meteor, all those.
Highway. I'd rather the Highway than the Meteor kits. I love the Highway kits. It's nickel steel, you know.
Oh yeah.
And boom, awesome. And I think we lost the Briggs man, Mr. Briggs.
Yep. Yeah, he's working. He drives a truck at night, so I think he was in the cabin truck.
Right.
But
yeah, his brand new
yeah,
international. His brand new international. Yeah.
Yep. But he didn't like it because it was that the automatic?
Automatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good
automatic.
old boy. He's got a shift. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep. But all right. Well, if nobody has anything else, it's been almost an hour and a half. I think I'm gonna go watch a little TV and then hit the sack. I gotta be up early. So, James, I want to thank you for showing up. I think because it said generator and because it had your name, we got Mikey up here. So thanks for that. It was good having small engine Mike up here. Cajun, always a pleasure, my friend.
Yeah.
And everybody else.
Well, thank you, Ken. Thanks.
Yeah,
thanks to everyone, and Mike too. I watch all his stuff. He's really
absolutely. Hey, like I said, find out about that generator, Cajun, and hopefully we'll get Mike involved, and we'll get you the parts you need.
Yeah. Well, it's been sitting outside. What now? 10 years.
That's just Mike's alley. So.
I'll do some more research on it. I was going to do it a couple of years ago, and that shop's an outboard motor shop and gunsmith shop and plus machine shop. So, and for that huge building, we out of room.
All right, guys, have a great night. We'll talk to you. Hopefully, James, you don't get any snow, but we're a little lower in the longitude, latitude, so I think we're all right. But all right, guys, have a great night. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for stopping by.
Love, peace, and crackling grease. Pluto.
Take care, everybody.